everyone, welcome to our session. We're going to be talking about something very near and dear to my heart, birth, the whole childbirth continuum as an altered state of consciousness. Okay, and you might say, well, we talk, that sounds awfully nebulous. It's an altered state. What are we talking about here? And you know, sometimes altered states have a bad rap. Like, are we talking about tripping or you know, drugs or something like that? No, we're not. We're talking about something that is actually very germane and comfortable in your life. Where are you when you're asleep? Well, you're not in ordinary reality and you're not dead. You are in an altered state of consciousness. Your consciousness has unhooked from ordinary reality, slowed down, and put you in a different place altogether. All right? See? And by the way, if you live to be 75 years old, you've been asleep actually for 25 years. What have you been doing? Resting up for tomorrow? No, I think it's way more than that. Actually, our bodies are designed to go into altered states regularly. In other words, you cannot live without having different states of consciousness in which to process your life. What happens if you don't sleep? If you don't go into that altered state of sleep? We know what happens. Eventually you will fracture. All right? You will become ill mentally and physically, and you will fracture. Why? Because you haven't had your altered state experience on a regular basis. So there's a whole lot to discuss here in terms of altered states. When we talk about altered states of consciousness, we're talking about something that is very germane to our existence as human. And what's the point, though? What is the point of engaging altered states, right? Well, first of all, it's simple. You get a chance to widen and expand your perspective. You couldn't possibly process everything that happens to you in ordinary reality. It's moving too fast. So in the altered state realm, in other words, your body allows you time then to decompress, to slow down, and to be able to process the things you can't process in ordinary reality. All right? So what I'd like to do is to take us through some of the language around altered states so that we can speak to each other intelligently. And this language and this understanding of altered states, it's not particularly only metaphysical. It's a very scientific discipline. Why? The same way hormones are. I mean, it's not metaphysical that oxytocin is the hormone of love, all right, and melatonin is the dream hormone and things like that. No, all right, there's a physiology to it. So what I'm saying here is that while we know an awful lot about what hormones are present in the birthing realm, we don't know that much about what your brain is doing, all right, when you are in the realms of birth. So let's look. Okay, so the place I want to start is to let you know that we definitely have a language and definitely have names for various levels of altered states. And we've named these different stages after Greek letters: beta, alpha, theta, and delta. Let me explain. So what we are looking at is that your brain is constantly cycling, just like your heart is constantly cycling, constantly having a heartbeat. Your brain is also cycling all the time, all right, much faster than your heart is beating. In fact, we're going to describe the different altered states in terms of how frequently your brain is cycling per second. So, beta is known as ordinary reality, all right? A very productive state, a state of the mind, all right? This is where we do our thinking, And this is where we speak. The currency of the ordinary reality of our lives is words. This is how we communicate with each other in beta. All right, your brain is cycling 40 to 60 times per second, not per minute, but per second when you are in ordinary reality. So you see what I mean? What you're doing in ordinary reality is just really absorbing stimuli. There's no time to sit and process what this means, you see? But we can't live without processing. We can't live without seeing beyond just the facts. All right? We also want the context and the content, and that happens in other altered states. So, what we know now is that there's a bridge. There's a state of being called alpha that is the bridge between ordinary reality and even deeper states, okay, of consciousness. So, alpha. Well, do you remember the Beatles? When the Beatles went to India, and when they came back, everything changed. Their music changed, their album art changed, their philosophy changed. It got more, what you might say, psychedelic. Well, see, when the Beatles went to India, they sat with the yogis, and they found alpha. And there was a time, all right, when when we discovered alpha, it was like, oh, this is the place to be. And alpha had its own language, right? We had a whole, drop down, drop out, why? Slow down, chill, groove, okay? The idea is slow your brain waves down, man, because there's another place you can go, and that's alpha. So in alpha, your brainwaves have slowed down to about 20 to 40 cycles per second, and while that may seem unbelievably fast, it's slower, all right, than beta, right, 40 to 60. Now we're down to 20 to 40. All right, and what happens when your brain waves slow down even that little bit? All right, your state of consciousness changes. And we've all been to alpha, okay? It's that state of detached awareness, that daydreaming state, that state where you're kind of spacing out, where you're kind of unhooked, where you're kind of staring off into space because your mind is not in ordinary reality right now. It's someplace else. What's happening in alpha is, right, you are experiencing the world in its sensual capacity. You see, in alpha, you're not thinking. In beta, you are. Ordinary reality, you are thinking and speaking and making a list, all right, and taking people's agendas, and the critic, all right, the critic lives up over here in ordinary reality. But when you get down to, when you drop your brainwaves down, okay, you get to alpha, everything is groovy. Everything moves more slowly. And you know what? You just realize that you're out of your mind, man. You have gotten out of your head. And where have you gone? Well, you've gone to the heart space. You see, if beta is about thinking, alpha is not. Alpha is about feeling. Okay? Alpha is the realm of the senses, the sensual. All right? Years ago, when we first found alpha, we created guided meditations to get us there. Do you remember those guided meditations where in your very best hypnotic voice you would say to someone, all right, now let yourself relax. Send your attention to your favorite place. And then you were given prompts to smell the ocean air and hear the sound of the waves and feel the wind on your face. All of this was designed to kind of get you out of your head and drop you down into the heart space, the sensual, the sensitive, okay? And in alpha, you get to see the metaphysical background of your world, not just the facts. See, if you walk past a rose garden in beta, in ordinary reality, on your way to work, focused, All right, you might look at that rose garden and you might be like, oh, the roses are blooming. There's a couple of different colors. I should come smell them sometime. All right. In Alpha, oh, you walk by that rose garden. Well, you're taking a left. All right in. Why? Because you're entranced. You're entranced by the flowers. All right. They're appealing to your senses. Look at how beautiful the whorls are. Look at the petals. They're like velvet. Smell them. Look at the colors. You could spend a half hour without realizing it, just gazing from rose to rose to rose in a rose garden. You see? So that's Alpha. That gets you out of your head. And it's a lovely place to be. Oftentimes it's very visual. All right, we have visions in Alpha. It's a very creative place. The currency of Alpha is different than the currency of Beta. The currency of Beta is words. That's how we communicate. How do we communicate in Alpha? Not so much through words, right? Through our art, through our creative process, you see? All right? Through the music, through the painting, through whatever it is that your artistry is. And it doesn't mean you have to be a painter or a sculptor. It could be cooking. Is cooking your art? Gardening. All right? Creating relationships. What is your heartfelt art? All right? That you communicate to the world with. That's Alpha. And it's a lovely place to be. But you know, there's more. There's more. Have you ever been kind of like in Alpha, daydreaming? All right, I mean, we've all been there. And let me just say, oftentimes hypnotic behavior brings on Alpha. If I speak to you in a very kind of hypnotic voice, those guided meditations were to bring you down into a deeper state. Driving in a car on just a long, straight road can be very hypnotic, right? And you all of a sudden find yourself, oh, all right. Oftentimes you don't realize you're in Alpha, okay, until you go back to Beta and you were like, where was I? Okay, was I driving? All right, see, so that's Beta and Alpha, two very familiar states of consciousness. Now, let's go deeper. Have you ever been like a kind of in Alpha where you're unhooked a little bit, you know? And then all of a sudden you find yourself, well, you don't know where you find yourself. You seem to have, what happened to the tunes? Okay? Now you're going down into this theta place. All right, so just watch and wait. Sometimes it's an empty place. Sometimes you're like, what happened to the palm trees and the coconuts and the ocean? And some people describe theta as kind of going into the emptiness or the stillness. Can you believe it? Meditators meditate for life to be able to reach the stillness. All right? And the truth is that it's programmed right in you. It's actually easy to find the stillness. Okay? And in the stillness, what happens? Well, at first you might think, well, there's nothing going on here, and where am I? And then just watch and wait. Something will come across your visage. All right? In other words, something about you and your life will all of a sudden appear to you. It will just cross your mind. And you are now in your personal closet. You see, when you go down into theta, what happens is you begin, all right, to let go of ordinary reality, even let go of the visions, okay, and all the sensual experience, because now you have entered the realm of intuition and insight. and understanding and maybe even revelation. See? And it's all about you. Theta is your T cloud, all right? In other words, everything that has ever happened to you, including every breath you've taken and blink of your eye, still exists. I mean, Einstein tells us that energy cannot be created or destroyed. You can't destroy a thought that you've had. Well, where does it go? It's in your T cloud. And you know, when we began to realize that there was such a thing as like iCloud, where you could keep all of your music and it didn't take up any space, well, that's the perfect metaphor for you and your experience of life. Everything that has ever happened to you is in your T cloud, and you can visit it whenever you want. In other words, those things are there for you because when you go down into a theta space, you're able now to process something. Something will come across your visage. Do you want to follow that? Do you want to explore that more in ways that you couldn't do in beta nor alpha? Because, you know, in alpha, you're really relaxing and having your creative visions and things like that. But alpha is some people say alpha is really the bridge to get you from beta to theta. And alpha, you know, takes you out of your head, but really the point is to take you to theta so that you can take a look at your life, all right? So that you have access to the metaphysical background of who you are, not just the facts, all right, but the feelings and the meanings of who you are, you see? I mean, where are we here in theta? I mean, beta, ordinary reality, we said was the realm of thinking and the mind. And then you drop down into alpha and you became more like heart-centered and into the realm of feeling. Oh, alpha is about feeling, all right, and creativity. Now, where are you going then when you go to theta? Well, now you're not thinking and you're not feeling. You're understanding. You're in the realm of insight and intuition and revelation. You're not thinking, you're not feeling. What are you doing? You are in the realm of knowing. This is where you know stuff. All right? You know what I mean? Have you been to theta? This is where you know things. And where are you? You're not in your mind, and you're not in your heart, really. You're in the realm of your soul. This is soul work, going to theta. See? And exploring all the meaningful things that have happened to you in your world, in your life, that you don't have time or space. All right? Why is no space? Because the brain waves of beta are 40 to 60, 40 to 60. You can't even think that fast. And then in alpha, they slow down 20 to 40, 20 to 40. And then in theta, they slow down like from 5 to 20. Yeah. All right? See how much more space there is for you to really look at things? Okay? So, in theta, you get to see the big picture. You get to see the 360-degree picture of who you are. Why? Because this is the realm of complete understanding. You get to understand yourself and others. All right? You have a theta experience and you're like, oh, I understand why he does that. Oh, I understand my mother. Oh, I get why my dog chews my shoe. I mean, theta. This is where the magic is. This is where the revelations come. Okay? And here's something really great. When you completely understand something in that theta way, you don't have to carry it anymore. You can let it go. Why? because you've explored it and you're done with it, and you can pack it up and let it go. You see what I'm saying here is you can change your behavior now. Why? Because you understand. You can see. All right. Sometimes you come out of a theta experience and you're like, oh my God, I know why I do that. That's awful. I'm not going to do that anymore. It's from theta that we change our behavior. We might say we want to change our behavior in beta. Okay, beta has a lot of, like, yeah, I want to heal. Yeah, I want to change my behavior. Yeah, I'm going to eat right. But actually, to actually change your behavior greatly, to heal, it's a theta experience. All right, this is where healing impacts us in theta, when you see the entire big picture of your life and the life of, and all the things that you are in relationship with. And that is what, like everything. I mean, you're in relationship with your partner and your mother and your dog and your hair and food and money and the earth and your job and your car. Yeah. Theta is your big personal closet. Okay? Go there. Now, let me speak to this. We are talking about now going into deeper places, okay? Beta is normal and familiar. Alpha is that interesting reverie and that, that relaxing, detached place. Theta, we're going to see some stuff. And what if I don't want to see this? No, do I get to control what I see? Well, of course you do. It might take a minute, okay? You're going to be exploring deeper places. Why? Because the world needs us to do this. Okay? Einstein says the problems that we have now are not going to be solved by the thinking that created them. Okay? The problems we have now are not going to be solved by the thinking that created them. So what is he talking about? What other thinking are we saying? We're talking about the beta problems that we have now are not going to be solved in beta. But the thinking, the feeling, the knowing that we get from theta, we will apply to the problems and concerns we have now, and we'll find relevant solutions. See? So theta is an amazing place to be. You have within you the place where you can heal. Spontaneous healing. Do we believe that? Of course we do. All right? Where does that happen? That's a theta experience. See? Why? Because let's say you have a cancer or something and you go into theta and all of a sudden you see it. You see the whole pattern of what that disease is to you. Where it started, how you fed it, what you did about it, what exacerbated it. The whole thing, all around. You see the whole thing. And then once you get it, you can let it go. Could it be that simple? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And here's another thing. In theta, this is where we forgive. This is where we change our behavior. This is where we heal. And this is where we forgive. We forgive others. We forgive ourselves. Why? Because with the insight and intuition you get, there's no point in not forgiving. You get it. You get it. All right? In beta, you don't. In beta, you want an apology and maybe revenge. Okay? In theta, you can let it go because I understand it. Isn't this great? And there's more. There's delta. Okay? And delta is that place where your brain waves start cycling much slower, like maybe 0.5 cycles per second, maybe a half a wavelength per second, up to about 5. Compare that with 40 to 60 cycles per second. See? The more you slow your brain waves down, the more you are in touch, all right, with a deeper experience of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. In Delta, your brainwaves are slowed down, and this is where you cross over, okay, into cosmic consciousness. In Theta, you are in your subconscious. You are right down below, underneath your subconscious, where your T cloud is. When you're in Delta, you're outside the cell membrane of the earth, okay? And what comes to you now are deep understandings, cosmic understandings, those revelations, okay? Those revelations where you come back and you're like, we're all one. Yeah? Tell me more. One. We're just one. I don't know what else. I don't know how I can tell you. I guess I'll just put it on a bumper sticker. All one. Oh, you see what I mean? Because those are such big revelations. And when you're in Delta, you get the feeling like this is my reality. And all this other stuff is just, you know, just the trappings of my reality. All right? My state of consciousness that wants to connect with my source. All right? So, have you seen this in birth? Have you seen women start their labor sometimes in a very beta place where they're kind of chatty, and how long was that contraction? And meanwhile, the midwife's trying to put you back to bed because she knows that you've got a ways to go now. You're in beta, all right? And the baby's not coming till delta. So relax, don't wear yourself out. But you're too excited because ordinary reality is exciting, and you know, and you want to have the pre-labor party, don't you? And does everyone have enough lemonade? And where's the dog? And call my mother? And you know, that's beta. And you know, as a birth worker, you know that's very charming, and she's excited that, you know, she has a ways to go. And then you watch, okay? And as labor ensues and picks up, you see a mom cross that bridge into alpha. All of a sudden, she's not talking so much anymore. She's feeling it. She's feeling into the sensations, all right, of her birth, of her labor. In beta, she's thinking about her labor, counting contractions. In alpha, she's feeling it. She's much more sensual. Oh, that one was in my back, right? And you see, all right, you see her going deeper. You see her crossing that bridge, right? And then keeps coming, right? It keeps coming. And the next thing you know, she's in this state where she's not really speaking anymore. She's nonverbal. She is deep, all right? She's not spacey, all right? She's not undone. She's very collected. In theta is where she really now allows that labor to come on. She allows those contractions to change her uterus, okay? In theta, she's finding her rhythm with it all, okay? How she's going to deal with pain, how she's going to deal with the sensations of her labor. And, you know, here's what I know. Here's what I've experienced over many years in the birthing realms, that when a woman is in theta and she is deep into theta and her consciousness is just expanding and she's having revelations and understandings, all right? She's getting connected so deeply with her baby so that they're actually working in tandem with each other. All right, and she's finding her rhythm through this process. All right, and you know, sometimes she'll flail around a little bit, but most of the time she can collect herself. Why? Because we do all of this research about pain, and we have doulas to help women, and and so on. But you know what I've noticed? That a woman has a natural, organic way to handle pain. And you know what it is? It's to go deeper into your altered state. And what happens? The pain goes away? Not necessarily. But you know what? The pain isn't relevant anymore. It's in the background. Sometimes way in the background. Why? Because what's relevant is what this mother is knowing. It's the soul work that she is doing in her birthing experience that trumps everything and pushes everything into the background. And so pain is usually not an issue when a woman is unfettered and allowed to make that organic and authentic flow from beta to alpha to theta and then delta. Delta is that place where a woman and her baby, who is in delta, all right, they come into tandem with each other like so, all right, and they know each other in delta, okay, and they know how to work together in this really deep state. And what you know is that to enter a woman's field right now would be sacrilege. All right? I mean, in theta, as she engages her labor and climbs that mountain, all right, and finds her way to the top and to the temple, as it were, okay? And then in delta, she is the temple. She embodies, all right, all that is sacred and meaningful and revelatory about her birthing experience. You see? So I feel like you've seen these things. I feel like you have seen women take a journey like this. And now, look at this. Now we have a way to describe it. We have a way to say, oh, she's in alpha now. Now, you know. Or she's in theta. She's finding her way. Yeah, just leave her alone. Don't disturb her. She's in delta. Yes, but when is she coming out? When is she going to have the baby? When she's ready. Well, isn't she going to get lost up there? No. No, let's just hold the space for her. All right, let's just accompany her and hold the space. You see? All right. Now, this language is scientific. Alpha, beta, alpha, theta, and delta are scientifically talked about and proven brainwave states. Imagine if all caregivers were schooled in understanding this, in understanding where women go during their births and how imperative it is to let them go there. Okay? Not to disturb the flow of beta to alpha to theta to delta. What are we doing? We're keeping a woman in the pain. If we keep her in beta, if we continue to stimulate her brain, her neocortex, her thinking mind, or even her feeling mind, as it were, all right? Let her go. Let her go to theta. She's doing soul work. Let her go to delta. What's going on in delta? This is the realm of the collective unconscious. This is where she's going to get downloads, all right, that were meant for her during her labor. Let's never, ever try to take her out of those places. You see? Birth is an altered state. Okay? And my plea is that we all try to understand this, because right now what we have in a very well-meaning way is that women going into deep altered states are managed by people who are in beta. You see the disconnect there? All right? So I'm bringing this up and I'm talking about it so we have a language to express it. Oh, you know, someone comes in the room, oh, she's in theta. Oh, okay, theta. All right. Okay, so thanks for tuning in and listening. All right, this is so important to me. I hope that it takes you somewhere too. All right, be well. Much love.